Okay. Yeah. I was playing with the in-game mic settings like someone just said. Okay. Well, let's see if that works. All right. Baladas Jaw, I apologize for the delay. I did, like I said, did buy a new headset, but all the instructions are in Japanese, and I looked online to find English instructions, and I can't find them anywhere. So I was gonna have my son come try to play with it and figure it out, but I've been so busy that I haven't been able to do that. Anyway, yeah, I had no idea where it was coming from. I just Comet and I were looking through headsets, and this it was 5-star, and it had the best ratings and everything else. So it's like, all right, let's buy this one. Well, it didn't do that. Oh, yeah. I will try that. I'll try to remember that. Google Translate to my phone. I'll try that. Maybe that will help. Okay. In the meantime, we will work with what we got. So, in the Discord group the other day, there was some questions about companions and familiars. I answered them pretty thoroughly, but it did remind me that not everyone knows a whole lot about companions and familiars. So I thought that I would throw that, and also not everyone's in Discord, of course. So I thought I'd throw that out a little bit too. You know, there's going to be obviously a lot of things to talk about, but that's just registered as maybe the first thing I should discuss. Okay, so companions and familiars. Obviously, the base knowledge everyone knows. They are non-hominid beings generally that work with a particular person. They are thoroughly bonded to them, so that if one dies, the other one feels it. Okay. And so that's that's base knowledge, okay, that everyone probably already knows. I know that in the past, you might have seen pictures of some ruffian holding a wizard's familiar, saying, "One wrong move and your familiar gets it." Okay, and the idea behind that was that if you kill the familiar, the host dies. But that's not necessarily the case, really. It does make them sick. Well, it weakens them, that for a time. But on a battlefield, if your familiar or your companion dies, they just come right back to life. Okay, as long as the host, your hominid, for the hominid, I've decided to use host as a terminology in this particular case, because the relationship is almost parasitic. Okay, each one gets something from the other. Okay, the familiar or companion, they get powers from their host character. Obviously, the host character also, symbiotic, is also true. Okay? The host character also gets powers from them. So, the obvious is that, you can see through the eyes of your companion if you're using that power. And you also you have telepathy with them, so you can talk to each other regardless of any other thing going on. And if you could also talk to them outside, So let's say you have a cat, all right? Normally people are not able to talk to their cat because they don't understand the language. But if that cat is your familiar, then you can talk to each other with no issues, no problems. Nobody else can understand what's going on unless they speak feline. But you can do it, regardless of any linguistic barrier that might possess. That is also for companions. That is correct. So let's say you're a ranger and you have a horse as your companion. Okay? Then you can still talk to your horse, and your horse can talk back to you. For Sout Rangers, obviously you must have Scout. Yes, of course. All Rangers that have companions can speak with their companion, no matter what race, no matter what animal type they are. It is part of having a companion. Okay? Let's go the extreme and okay. Seeing through the eyes of your companion is a thing that wizards have with their familiars. Now, is it possible for a ranger or druid to get that ability? Yes, it is. Okay? But they don't start with that automatically. Wizards and their familiars automatically get that. They get they get telepathy, and they get the ability to see through the eyes. A ranger or druid, etc., that has a companion, those abilities are available, but they don't start with it. Okay? That is something that they can acquire. Companions get an ability every other level. Okay? And it is that ability that they get every other level comes from your own skill set list, or it comes from their racial type. Okay? Example, Galtrit. If someone gets a Galtrit's not really companion, it's going to fall under familiar, but I'm still going to use it. Galtrits have shapeshift. Okay? But they don't get that initially if you get them at, let's say you got them at level 1. Okay? That's going to be in their list of abilities that they can acquire as they get more levels. Galtrit is Galltrit. Galtrit. Okay? They're a 6-inch little fiend. Okay? Yes, that's right. This little tiny little fiend about 6 inches tall. Little tiny person with wings. And as they level up, then they can get some of the other abilities that come with it. Yes, just like a Quasit or an Imp. Okay? Yes, very similar. Okay? Except, yeah, they're still very, very similar. Imps are usually bigger than, and Quasits are even bigger than that. But it is, very similar. Anyway, point being is that your companion will get abilities as they level up. Okay? And most of those abilities are going to come from your skill list, but some of them, some of their racial types already have inherent abilities that they will acquire. Galtrits, imps, pixies. Okay, it is not impossible to have a pixie as a familiar. Okay, it's not likely to have one as a companion. A companion or familiar is best when it's run by another player, okay? Because they have their own personalities, okay? And it's so much cooler to interact with another player that has a personality. But it's not impossible. You can roleplay your own familiar. It is distinctly possible. Yes, Jalil Skydancer. Doom, 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 doom. Doom, doom. Okay. Yes, as far as what Argo says is correct. Every other level, they will get an ability, and like I said, it's going to come out of your own skill set, your own list. Whether if you're a wizard, then that's pretty broad because that's your spell list. Priests also, that's your spell list. Rangers, that means pass without trace. Some of your ranger skills, unless though that race has its own inherent abilities, like pixies, Quasits, Galtrit. Then they're going to have a list that they can acquire. Can a raven carry your spells? You mean physically? Absolutely. Physically they could. Ravens are really, really smart. You could even make a harness that they could wear and carry more of your spells, if you wish. They fall under that. Warders. Warders also fall under warders fall under familiars. Okay, so they have. Yes, all of them are companion types, but warders are more familiars than like a ranger has. Okay, because a warder is sent by your deity to serve you. Okay, and companions aren't servants. Okay, familiars are servants, but they have chosen to be that. Okay, because when you call for a familiar, you're sending it out there. Okay, for some being to want to come and serve. Okay, but the thing about familiars as opposed to warders is that in their brains you are serving them also. Okay, because this is where the parasitic relationship comes, and we've already said symbiotic, but when you have a familiar, they view the relationship exactly opposite as you. Okay, that you guys are working together for their goals. Okay, they're going to do everything that they're going to do what you want them to do, but you need to do what they want you to do too. That's how a familiar relationship goes. Okay, warders, on the other hand, are servants from your deity that has been sent to you. Okay, so even though they're going to have their own personality, do their blah blah blah, they don't really have the same need to get you to do what they want you to do that familiars do. Does that make sense? Okay, Jill Sharp Claws. Yes, they can also acquire telepathy with a companion. It's not something automatic, but just like seeing through their eyes, it is something that they could acquire. Okay. Wyrds. Argo just mentioned Wyrds. Wyrds are animals from another elemental plane. Fire Wyrd, Water Wyrd, Earth Wyrd. Now, you're going to treat them just like any other animal, okay? And their powers are going to grow. They're going to get different abilities as they go up. Like, let's say you got a fire snake, okay? Well, at first level, he's going to be a fire snake, okay? And then at third level, he's going to get the ability to burn, okay? And maybe at fifth level, he may get burning hands, okay? And seventh level, maybe he might attain a burning sphere. Yes, Wyrds are spelt that way. They are, they're still pronounced in the traditional word weird, okay? But they're spelt with a Y. Okay. And a magical type of companion, yeah, if you're talking elementals, elementals are just that. That doesn't necessarily make them magical. Okay, just because it's a snake made of fire. Okay, now you can make snakes. There's magic that can do that. Yes, but if we're talking about Wyrds, that's just how they are. That's their life. And it is more difficult to acquire a Wyrd than a regular companion. And I say regular, meaning standard type. Okay? Alright? You will notice a fire rabbit, since you talked about bunnies, at Comet's desk. At least it was down there, because many moons ago I gave her a fire rabbit to protect her office. And that is weird. Okay. All right. No, you don't have to have a magical beastie in order to see through their eyes or have telepathy. It's because they're your companion. Okay, that's part of having a companion, and it's not something that all of them have. That's why it's something that you can acquire. You know, it's a choice that you can make. Okay. Whether it's an owl, just a standard owl, that's fine. In time, as that owl levels up, if you choose to do so, you can put, let's say at third level, you choose telepathy, and at fifth level, you choose seeing through their eyes. That is fine. Okay. That is part of the bond that you have with them. Anyone seen Beastmaster? The old movie. Okay. Do you remember the part where he looks through the eyes of his hawk? Okay. Well, those are his companions. That is not a magical hawk. Excuse me. He's not a magical hawk. He just is bonded. He is with the Beastmaster. Those are all his companions. And he has chosen with that hawk to give him, it's called Eyes of the Eagle. That's the name of the ability. He has chosen Eyes of the Eagle on that hawk. Okay? Or was it a hawk or was it an eagle? I can't remember. It's been so many years. But either way, it doesn't matter. It's a big, awesome bird. And so you can do that with your owl. It's just that it's not something that starts out that way. Okay? You have to choose it at third and fifth. That's right. He saw through it. You were correct. He has a black tiger, which are real things, by the way. If you didn't know, there really are black tigers. And he has that ability on that with his tiger as well. And do remember that when you're summoning a companion or you're summoning a familiar, that the size and hit points and of the companion come into play. Okay, so let's say that, and by the way, I'm using every time when I talk about this stuff, I think I'm talking about in the old system. I do realize that we have like doubled levels and all that stuff, and at this point, Argo is still dropping all that stuff into the meat grinder, and he can help you translate that. Okay. Anyway, so let's say that you summon a mouse. Okay. Now I talked about in the Discord channel. I talked about roadkill. Okay. Roadkill is the name of Cantino's familiar. Okay. Cantino's a Magus level wizard. Okay. and he has a mouse. Mouse is a first level critter. Okay? So that meant that he has the maximum number of abilities that he could have. He doesn't have any inherent abilities. Okay? That means he gets his abilities as he grows. He automatically has the base abilities of a familiar, which is see through the eyes and telepathy. But because he's a mouse, then he got a power at first level, a power at third, and a power at fifth because he's a critter. Okay? Critter is the lowest number of hit points that you can get, and so they have more potential abilities. But let's say that you are an archmage, okay, and as an archmage you cast Find Familiar, and you have the potential of having a larger beastie, like a saber-toothed tiger. Okay? Now that saber-toothed tiger is going to be baseline. Okay? It's not going to be undead. It's not going to be it's not going to be elemental. Okay? It's not going to have any of your spells. It's just going to be this super awesome saber-toothed tiger that you can talk to, and you see through its eyes, and you have telepathy with. However, that same archmage casts Find Familiar, and they get a wolf. Alright? Now, this wolf can have one of the potential specials. Like, let's say, because it's me, I'm going to say it. Let's say that you got a fire elemental wolf. You got a fire weird wolf. Okay? That is the special ability initial. Okay? Which bumps it from a level 3 familiar to a level 5 familiar. Okay? Does that make sense? Doom, 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 doom. Yeah, the wolf would not have any other special abilities except being a fire wolf. And that's already a special ability. Okay? It's because he was a level 5, and let's say a level 5 arc called a wolf, and a weird could answer it. Because if they're a weird, it jumps up the level. Okay? A level 1 mage or druid or ranger, whatever, they're not going to call a weird. Okay? At level 1. It's just not possible. Okay? But at level 3, then you have now jumped it up. So you could get a weird. But the weird that you get at level 3 would be a level 1 type, a critter type. Mouse, black cat, cat, toad, you know what I'm talking about? Snake, yes. Okay? Yes. The level 1 types, the smaller ones. Okay? Normal critters. Okay? As, when a critter gets to the next level, then then it's, yeah, crows works. When they get to the next level, then they're no longer critters, now they're animals. Okay? And then after animals is beast. Okay? And after beast, then now that we're talking the gargantuans. Okay, yeah. Argo just dropped a good one. Yes, that's correct. So, that gives you a general idea, of the critter types. Now, if they are special, like they're a weird, okay, then they're automatically jumped up to the next level. Gives you an idea. Now, let's look at the at warders for a second. Okay, warders are all warders are weirds. Okay, but they are either from the positive material plane, called the ether, or the negative material plane, called the nether. Okay, they are animals that are native to that environment. Okay, whereas like a fire wolf obviously is made out of fire. Well, a weird from the nether, since someone thought, Trinity just talked about crows and ravens. Let's say that you're a priest, okay, and you happen to have a crow because that's what your god gives you, okay, and they happen to be a dark god, so now you have acquired a crow that is a weird of darkness. Okay? Yes, Athena would send an owl, Bass would send a cat, that's exactly correct. As a cleric, you are going to get a weird that is either light or dark, and there are some exceptions. And the totem animal of that deity. Okay? Athena is going to send you an owl that's is ether. It is made out of light energy, basically. Okay? There are some exceptions, okay? Like some deities are elemental in nature. So they have the option, it's not necessarily the case, but they have the option of using their element. Let's say Hestia, okay? Does anyone know what Hestia is the goddess of? The hearth, that's right. That is correct. She is also the goddess of fire, because hearth is where you cook. Okay? Hearth is a glorified oven. So because she's the goddess of fire, then the option exists that if you are her priest and you call a familiar, then you might get her totem animal made out of light energy, or you might get one made out of fire energy. Okay, it's a weird in either case. Okay, but one's a light weird and one's a fire weird. Does that make sense? Poseidon, okay? And Poseidon's could be either light or water. Yeah, you think you eat your water weird. Okay. Hephaestus, fire or light. That's not actually out of the realm of possibility, you know, because he's also the god of earthquakes. Poseidon could also be a earth weird, and salt would fall right into there because that's water and earth at the same time. So you could have because I like wolves, I'm going to keep using wolf. You could have a salt wolf. Weird. Okay? For Poseidon. It's distinctly, would go right into his possibilities. Okay. In that case, it would be a nether spider. Okay? For a Lothian cleric, it would be a nether spider. Is it possible for it to be abyssal? Yes, it is. Okay? Because that's, in the realm of possibility. Another would be, a darkness elemental, basically. Yes, that is correct, Jill Air. Since a warder is a weird, then it automatically pumps up to the next level, which means it has fewer potential eventual abilities. Just like if you got a weird of any variety, Undead also. That is correct. Let's say if you got an undead horse as your companion, okay, that jumped up their automatic level, okay, so you couldn't get an undead horse at level 1, okay. It's just not possible. Yes, absolutely. Death Knight's favorite companion would be an undead horse. Absolutely. Hands down. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if your demon knights out there, the same rules apply to you too. The number one that you would go for would be a demon horse. Salty dog companion. Not wasted, because we all still know what you're talking about. Going back to the warder for Poseidon. nightmare would be the favored companion for a demon knight. There you go. And it would also be for a devil knight, because it depends on which type, if it's an infernal or an abyssal. But either way, yes, I love nightmares. They're also awesome. I have a nightmare in ESO. And if you have never seen the nightmares from ESO, you should pull up a picture. They're the best nightmares that I have ever seen drawn or crafted. Because it's a very good one. Okay. All crows are going to be that way, you're right. But in your particular case, as a priest, and then a priest that has a crow weird would be made of darkness. Okay? Alright. Does that help with the concepts of familiars and companions? Molly over there, so she's an underwater being. Here, this is an important one, okay? This is an important thing when it comes to summoning your familiars. Where you're at when you cast that spell increases or decreases the chances of a particular thing. Alright, now, if you cast Find Familiar, or Call Companion, at the bottom of the ocean, okay, the chances are you're going to get fish, sharks, which are actually types of fish, dolphins, you're going to get underwater beings, octopi, squid, okay, maybe potentially a water weird of whatever variety, okay? That's what's going to happen. Now, if you are a priest, okay, that's where you're at doesn't matter, okay? I'm talking wizards and druids and rangers, etc. Priests, it doesn't matter where you are. Your weird is set in stone. Okay? If a ranger is at the bottom of the ocean, that ranger is going to get an aquatic type companion. Most likely. Okay? It's possible that they might get something else. Okay? Like, let's say you roll a double odd. Okay? When you're summoning your companion at the bottom of the ocean. Alright? Well, that double odd might make it so that you got a seagull, because seagulls can swim, right? Okay. They can dive into the water and swim for a while. You could, or you might get a polar bear, okay, or a sea lion, okay. And that's if I'm just using the bottom of the ocean because it's very extreme, okay. Yes, a mer ranger, that is correct. If you got a mermaid ranger, that's what she's going to get, okay. She's probably going to get a dolphin or shark, or or if it's an angelfish. Of course, if she gets an angelfish, it's going to have extra. It's ultimately going to have other special powers because that's a critter level, right? It depends on what they get. Okay? Yeah, that's right. She might find Nemo. And because Nemo was critter level, Nemo is going to start having special powers. Okay? The next thing you know, you got a fish that can breathe air, not just water. And find direction is actually a ranger ability. So, bam, you suddenly, Nemo no longer gets lost. So but you're getting me, okay? Now, there's a spell for that, okay? Clerics have access to call companion or find familiar also, okay? But just in the same way that mages and priests and rangers, etc. But it's in the spell list, okay? So it has to be one you have chosen. And also depends on your deity, because some deities may not grant that. Okay? Somebody talked about Loth earlier. Loath, and depending on who you are and how you prefer to pronounce it, she would definitely grant that. Okay? Okay? Yes. Tough. Thank you for bringing that up, because I thought, because that means that people didn't understand it. Yes. Your companion gets tougher as you level up and as they level up. Thank you for bringing that up. Example, let's go back to roadkill. Okay? No, roadkill is a little tiny white mouse, right? Okay? But he's the familiar to a magus level frog. Alright? So if you attack roadkill, then he's got the toughness level of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Because he's a critter, but he levels up just like everybody else. Does that make sense? yes, the Vorpal Rabbit from Holy Grail. If he would be a leveled up rabbit. Okay? Yes, he's a Vorpal bunny. Somebody's familiar that has leveled up and gotten some other special abilities because of who their host is. But that is accurate. So I gave you an example of what happens on the bottom of the ocean. Okay? So let's reverse that and give you some, let's say that you are sitting on a cloud. All right? Because you are an Avarial or whatever reason, because there's a few possibilities. But let's say that you're sitting on a cloud when you cast Find Familiar. All right? Now, you're not going to get a fish. Okay? And you're not going to get a mouse. Okay? You're going to get a chickadee, a hawk, depending on your level, you might get a bald eagle. You're going to get something that flies. Okay? It's if you roll a double ot when you're up there, then maybe you'll get an air weird. Okay? And if it's an air weird, then it could be a mouse or a fish. Okay? Because you could get Nemo the air weird, and suddenly you've got an air elemental fish. Okay? Yep, that's right. You got weird Nemo. Okay, then it's possible because you rolled a double out. You got yourself a weird. Okay. All right. Let's jump over to the magma of an active volcano. Okay? Now, that means that we're looking at fire stuff, right? You might possibly get get a salamander, a newt. There are very few standard beasties that can live in that environment, but they do exist. Okay? And so it's going to be from a much shorter possible level, much shorter possible list. It's only going to be beasties that live in that environment. And, let's say you rolled a double out. Alright, well, now you got another Nemo. Now let's say you got Fire Nemo. You got Nemo as a fire weird. You got a little fish. I'm just, playing around with the concept here. But there you go. It's a distinct possibility. Yep. Mephits. That is also correct. That is. Mephits are among the Wyrds. Yep. Magma spider, fire spider. You were correct. So those are going to be among the Wyrds. Phoenix, yes. Firebird, they could eventually develop into a phoenix. Correct. Alright, so let's pump it up a little bit. Okay? Let's say that you cast it on the elemental plane of fire. Okay? Now, elemental plane of fire, everything is going to be a Wyrd that you're going to that's going to come up because they are native to that environment. And of course it means you have to survive long enough to do it. Find Familiar and Call Companion are not short duration spells. They take a while to do. 8 to 72 hours. They're very long casting spells. Okay? The shortest, is going to be 8 hours. 72 hours. Okay, they're very, very long spells. And so you got to survive that long if you're going to cast it on in an elemental plane. Could it happen? Yes, it could. But everything you're going to get on an elemental plane is going to be a Wyrd. Okay? Elemental plane of water, for example, since I've got two Mer talking about right here. You have to be able to breathe underwater there. Okay? Because the elemental plane of water, everything is underwater. Okay? It's a plane of existence. Okay? There is no going to the surface. So, if you can't breathe underwater, you know you're going to drown. But you will guarantee some type of water Wyrd under those circumstances. Alright, elemental plane of air. Okay. If you can't fly, you're going to be falling forever. Because there's nowhere to go. Alright? If you don't have the ability to walk on clouds or walk on air or fly or something like that, if you're in the elemental plane of air, it is an eternal falling mission. Okay? You're just never going to stop. Because there's nothing to hit on the ground. You may hit things on the way down. Okay? Maybe a cloud giant has decided to set up a castle on a cloud, and you may be lucky and fall and land on it. Of course, you probably break your head open, but hey, you stop falling. But you are guaranteed an air Wyrd of some type, should you be there. Alright, let's look at the elemental plane of Earth. Now, the elemental plane of Earth, again, you have to have a way to breathe, because you are underground. And yes, there are going to be tunnels that BCs have made, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's where is where you're going to be. Okay? It could happen. You could be lucky. You could land in, when you appear, you could be in a tunnel. But most of the denizens of the elemental plane of Earth, they travel through the ground just like fish travel through water. There are plenty of exceptions, but that is the general rule. So there are going to be fewer tunnels than you would hope. But you might be lucky. But regardless, if you are able to survive long enough and you are to be able to cast it, any beastie you call is going to be an earth weird. Okay? And yeah, under the best circumstances, you will be entombed in the earth, buried alive, if you are there. That's under the best circumstances. But earth weirds are cool, you know? Alright, so let's jump to another plane of existence. Let's go to... Let's go to the Nether. Okay? And so you cast Call Companion or Find Familiar in the Nether. Well, everything is either going to be made of shadow or undead there. Okay? And of course, if you survive long enough, because your life force is just going to bing, 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 and call everything to you and want to rip you to shreds because you are alive and they're not. Okay? But everything there, any companion or familiar you call there, is either going to be a nether weird, which is an animal crafted out of shadow, or it's going to be an undead. All right, vampiric wolf. For those of you that are familiar with the concept, that is where they hang out. Okay? Yes, that is correct. As a cleric, a Lothian cleric, you would, under no other circumstances, you would only have a spider companion or familiar, because that's what Loth or Loth would give you. Okay? And that spider, because you're a cleric, would be would definitely be a nether spider. Okay, so thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to bring this. I was going to hop over there, and I'm going to hop there in just a second, so do not let me forget. I'm going to the abyss. But we're going to hop from the nether to the ether. Okay? Let's say you're on the positive material plane, the ether. Then you are going to get some type of light weird. Okay? or the converse types of undead, the non-physical types. Okay, the not evil ones, I guess you could say. Like you have a ghost wolf. We're gonna, since I'm choosing wolves right now, which I do often. You might have a ghost wolf or a light wolf. Okay, a wolf made out of light energy, or a ghost wolf. Okay. If it's skeletal, it probably is on, that would be in the nether. Okay? Because the ether, they're not going to have physical forms. Okay? Zombies, vampires, skeletons, ghouls, etc., that's going to be in the nether. Okay? In the ether, you're going to get ghosts, maybe poltergeists. You're going to get the non-corporeal undead. Okay? Not that there are not non-corporeal undead in the nether, because there are, but there are no corporeal undead in the ether. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, so let's pop down to the abyss. Okay? Now, if you're in the abyss, everything you're going to get there are demons. Okay? Now, if you're on the blood plane, okay, it is possible to have a devil, maybe even a celestial, because that's constant war there, and all three factions are there. Okay? The blood plane is not actually, there is a lot of blood, and there are blood elementals. So yeah, it is actually possible to get a blood weird there, but you also have, you could also get a fire weird, earth weird. Yep, blood wolf is, that could happen here. But you also have the abyss, all abyssals, infernals, and celestials. That is the blood plane is the intersection of the abyss and the hells. Okay? So it's a constant war area, and so all of those three types, they would all possibly be here. Of course, surviving on the blood plane would be very, very, very tough, because it's constant war, and you are everybody's enemy. Okay? Now, if you drop down a level and you're in the abyss, everything is going to be abyssal. Okay? So then you start looking at having demons, demonic wolf, demonic horse, demonic rat, demon rat. Okay? That's what you start looking at. Okay? They are going to have the demonic template. Okay? Let's pop over to the hells, the 9 hells. If you're on the blood plane, okay, let me answer this question about the demons thing. Like I said, familiars have their own agenda. Okay? So familiars, an evil familiar is obviously going to use you for something. It's just like they figure you're using them and they're going to use you back. And evil familiars are going to do that. Whether it's abyssal or infernal. Okay? Totally. Okay. So let's hop over to the hells. If you're on the blood plane, we just discussed that. But if you drop down a level to the first plane of hell, everything is going to have a devilish template. Everything is going to have a infernal template. So devil rabbit, devil cat, devil monkey, devil horse. All warders are serving their god's interests. Okay? So all warders are going to do what you want them to do unless it's against your god's best interests. The answer to Jalil Ayer's comment there. All right. Now, let's take another detour and hop up to the Celestials. Okay. If you cast Find Familiar or Call Companion up there, let's say you're in the Elysium or any of the heavens, as one might say, because there's lots of them. You are going to get a celestial cat, rat, monkey, bird, horse, whatever it is. It's going to be, all right? Does that make sense? Now, do keep in mind that these are not exactly the same as Wyrds. Okay? If you want a light horse, for example, then you would do that on the ether plane. All right? You would not do that in one of the heavens. Okay? You would get a celestial horse. Okay? Does that make sense? Doom, 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 da doom, 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 doom. That's right. Okay, cool. That's right. Somebody mentioned that they have a cat with wings before, because that does exist. That is a beastie. But if you were, no, it's an actual, well, this particular one that I'm talking about, kind of like, Pegasus is a horse with wings. There is a version, there is a cat with wings called, I'll remember it in a minute. Yep, there it is, Tressum. Thank you. It's a Tressum. Although a Sphinx is a cat with wings too. But it also has a human face and human chest too. Tressum is a cat with wings. You know. Yes, Tressum are Fae. Those. All right. Brings up another point, which is where we're hopping to next. If you hopped over to the Feywild, okay, and we're plane hopping again, we're going to hop over to the Feywild, okay? Everything you get there is going to be a Fey type, okay? Tressum, one example, you know, Fairy Dragon, that's right, they're going to be here too. All right, hold on one second. So I'm knocking on my door. Okay. And yeah, so that, you know, you do obviously have to be able to survive the Feywild in order to do that. Okay. But in all cases, in every one of these cases, you have to be able to survive long enough to cast that, because it's not a 5-second spell. You can't just pop in, bing, and so you shall, ding, and then pop out. No, that's not how it works. This is a ritual type spell. It lasts 8 hours, and then you have up to 72 hours before your familiar or companion appear. Okay. And in all cases that is true, and that's an entirely different thing, but yes, in order to maintain the plane that you are going to, you do to stay there very long, you need something from that plane. Okay? Otherwise, yeah. Otherwise you'll never come back. Okay? You are gone. Gone so long, you be gone so long. Okay. So, this follows all the planes of existence. Okay? If you want a beastie of that type, the chances of acquiring that type increase exponentially if you are actually in that plane of existence. But that is more than mildly dangerous to do. But if it's what you want to do, it's there. The option exists. Okay? But any of those could possibly be on this plane. It just requires a much higher roll to do that. Okay? There's some exceptions, like you're not going to get a fire weird at all, ever, if you cast Find Familiar at the bottom of the ocean. Just don't plan on it. Okay? And remember, an elemental that dies goes back to its home plane. Okay. Displacer beasts. They are ethereal. Okay? They're not ether. They're not nether. They're not astral. They're not fairy. Displacer beasts are ethereal. They live on the ethereal plane. Okay? Which incidentally is where the Star Elf Imperium is. If not that they would welcome any visitors, but the Star Elf Imperium is in the ethereal plane. It is also where the many illicit outposts and Gith outposts are. No, astral and ethereal are not the same. The astral plane exists simultaneously, okay? But the astral plane does not have outposts and things like that the ethereal does, okay? The astral plane is like the reverse of space, okay? It's like, this golden liquid that holds everything in it. Okay? The ethereal, on the other hand, is more like actual space. Okay? It is empty and not empty at all. The astral is the reverse. Astral and ethereal are exactly opposite of each other. So let's say that you have the ability to astrally project. Okay? That astral projection does not help you whatsoever in the ethereal plane. To travel in the ethereal plane, you need something like a spelljammer. Okay? Or you have to have ethereal travel, in which case you will be bound by the silver cord. All of that stuff is in the ethereal plane. The astral plane is more instant, okay? To astrally travel from one place to another, you can do that, okay? Yes, we probably do need to update Undine's classes, okay? As far as this kind of stuff goes. Does all that make sense? You cannot spell jam through the astral plane. You can spell jam through the ethereal plane. Everyone look up above me. Okay? If you can look up above me, you're going to see some spell jammers. Okay? Because I have spelljammers floating around. Well, yeah, I do. I see them. Okay, I have spelljammers floating around up there. Yes, and Nifredil has a spelljammer. He does. It is called the Web Runner. Okay. But you see that gold stuff that those spelljammers are floating in? that gold stuff is ripped from the astral plane. Okay? Spelljammers travel the ethereal plane. Okay? But that gold stuff is part of the astral sea. Okay? Because spelljammers can drive across it, but they don't ride through it like they do the ethereal.
Cereals filled at all?
Yeah, those are full. If you want one, go.
I was curious about the
Get a bowl. Get a bowl. Okay. Astro Dreadnoughts are, because they're just named that way. Okay? They actually travel, they're actually a type of spelljammer. They're a giant spelljammer. Okay? If you've ever seen an aircraft carrier, an Astro Dreadnought is an aircraft carrier for the ethereal plane. I just heard that she was interested in getting that roleplay going again, Nif. If you want to contact her, and maybe you guys can get that rolling, because I got a message from her about getting that back rolling. Oh, I'm not sure about the golem because too many things going on. I must have missed that one as it passed me by. Okay. Anyway, so any questions about anything that we've been talking about so far? Okay, someone said something about portal stones, and I missed where it went to. Ah, yes. Those portal stones are very important, by the way, and there's a variety of role plays that can be used for that. Those can be used for, should that come back up. Anyway, so everybody is comfortable with all this information about companions and familiars. A spider weird, if you're a priest, then you're going to, a loth, you're going to get a spider weird no matter what. Okay? But if you want it to be abyssal, you would have to go to the abyss. If you want it to be infernal, you'd have to go to the hells. Okay? Ah, yes. Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the beastie, the Astro Dreadnought. Yep. Gotcha. Yes, Aboleth bad. Yes, the Aboleth is and actually you spelled it correct. Aboleth is ethereal, and the Dreadnought is astral. There is a giant ship called the Astro Dreadnought, and it is not astral, it's ethereal, and it is a flotilla. It is a giant boat. It's a spelljammer, and it is a star elf. Not that there's a whole lot of star elves in existence anymore, because just like dark elves, there's fewer of them. But so that boat never ever leaves its dock because there's not enough people to run it. You know, it is a aircraft carrier of spelljammers. It is a spelljammer aircraft carrier with lots of spelljammers on board. But there's not enough star elves to run it, so it doesn't go anywhere. Anyway, any questions about any of this stuff? Okay, everybody's square. Everybody understands all of this stuff about companions and familiars. It all makes sense to everybody. Mm-hmm. Okay. I know that, okay, let's see here. As far as a companion weird, if you are if you're the host for that companion, yes, you can talk to them. Just like you would if they were not a weird. Just not telepathically unless that is your familiar, or you have leveled up and acquired the telepathic communication. Otherwise, you talk to them, and you automatically understand them, even though you won't understand any other fire elementals. Let's say we're talking a fire weird. You'll understand that one, okay? Even if you don't have that language. Yes, it could definitely serve as a translator. 100% true. which is not uncommon position that familiars and companions take. Okay. Doom, doom, doom. People understand the undead one too, right? You know, that undead can still serve as companions, and just obviously, you know, having an undead rat is going to be of interest in some cases. You know, not necessarily in all cases. And should you choose to have an undead, then it's going to depend upon you and your roleplay. But personally, that's what I use the spell Preserve for. So I don't have my minions or etc. rotting on me. Because, you know, hey, I make mummies. Okay, thank you for that question. The difference between undead familiar and a construct. Well, constructs are not always intelligent. Okay? Familiars are. Okay? Familiars are always intelligent, and you can see through their eyes. Telepathy, you know, familiars are intelligent and are their own little beings. I never miss my mummy. If I need one, I just pull one up. Now, constructs that a necromancer makes could be skeletons, and they might not be intelligent at all. You know, they may just be this minion that takes your direction and does what you want them to. Okay? Zombies, ghouls, ghasts, you know, they may be mindless undead. Okay? An undead familiar, no matter what, if they're a skeleton, zombie, they're not going to be mindless. Even if you see no brain, because they're a skeleton, they're not mindless. They are a familiar, so that means they're going to have all the bonuses of being a familiar. Does that make sense? Yes, that is true. But the nether energy may also fill a construct also. But it's definitely going to be within a familiar. And a familiar is definitely it's a sentient being on every level. Okay? it may not be necessary to have a player character run a minion, because all they're out there to do is hack and slash. But a player character can play a familiar because it is a being with their own thoughts, feelings, motivations, desires. And if they're evil, they're going to constantly try to usurp the control of their host so that they're the ones in charge. Okay. No more questions? That was hilarious what Harry just said. That was hilarious. That was funny. I'm good with that. As far as a player, yes, players can play someone's familiar. Yes. But they have to be the little beastie, you know, Firewolf or Undead Rat or whatever it is, you know, because they get the advantage of immortality on the battlefield, but they have to be the beastie. Okay. It's a commitment, you know. Okay. No, by the way, animals, they have their own attack forms. We have it set up so that there are claw, bite in some cases. Sometimes just bite. Sometimes just claws. But they don't use swords. Animals have teeth and claw, basically, as weapons. But they're effective in a battlefield because they can't die. They're immortal. Yes, hooves, exactly. That's correct. Black Widow bite, very poisonous. And there are some there are a number of people who do have alts that they run as people's companions or familiars. Okay. Oh, that actually brings up one more point right before I close. I've thought about it. Deep roads. Deep roads have their own set of beasties too. Okay? And even though it's not another plane of existence per se, it is still iconic in that same way. Like, who here has met XJ9? Okay. He is a metallic guy. XJ9 is a metallic guy. And he has defected to the Great Alliance. He's a ranger. Yes, that is correct. And he has a cantor as his companion. A cantor is a pink rabbit, okay, that is poisonous if you eat one, and they're also poisonous to attack. So they have fangs like a snake, and they are very fast, and they can jump on people and bite them. Okay, and they're besides their soft rabbit-like fur, underneath the fur is rhinoceros hide armor. You know? And yes, their little snake fangs can penetrate metal because they fight Metallicae. Yes, Metallicae kill them all the time because they are a threat. You know, they walk around, they see these little pink rabbits, they kill them because they actually can penetrate Metallicae's skin with their little tiny teeth that are not little and tiny. No, you can't poison a Metallica, but, you know, hey, you can puncture holes into them, and that's still not fun. You know? They don't like that. They say, what's up with that? Now I got holes in me. You know? But anyway, point being is that the deep roads also have beasties that can potentially be called as familiars or companions. But you have to be there to do it. Does anybody have questions on that? Okay. Yes, Cantor are awesome. Killer pink bunnies, I love them. Cantor are cool. XJ9 has one, as I said. Sometime you guys will have to keep an eye out for him. He is a ranger, so probably the first one that will. Yeah, Lilith. Hey, your little Eon remembers. That is correct. The Cantor is named Lilith. She is his companion. He showed up at T a couple weeks ago, but no one realized who he was. But if you see a Metallica with a pink rabbit, that's XJ9. Okay. I know that I have kept you guys a million years, and I'll go ahead and cut you loose. And I will see you in a couple of weeks for the battle, or whenever it is, next week. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to double check my
Not
schedule
next
here.
week. I'm going to do a weapons team meeting next week to go
Okay.
over that we've been noticing and get things covered. So it'll be the week after.
Okay, week after then. Week after will be battle. Every once in a while, you guys will see me around. And if you do, you're more than welcome to drop me a line. It's all good. But yes, if you see pink bunnies in the deep roads, those are Cantor. And yes, Cecil is also a good guy Metallica. So there are two good guy Metallicas out there. Okay. One is a ranger, the other is a wizard. Oh, I'm sorry. If you had a question, so calling a familiar or companion will be a long solo roleplay. Yeah, it should be. I mean, it takes 8 hours to cast, and then you have up to 72 hours before it will appear. It could appear immediately, you know, but it could be up to 72 hours. Find familiar or call companion. If you have another player to do it with you, that's better. Okay? Because then you get some back and forth and some potential decent role play there. And it is a very long time to survive in a dangerous place. Keep that in mind. If you do choose to do that in a dangerous place, you will need a judge. Okay? Because you might die there. So somebody's got to be dungeon mastering for you, you know, because your spell can get interrupted. Somebody could eat your head. Hey, things can happen, right? So you need a DM if you're going to do one of the deep roads, if you're going to do one anywhere except in a nice, safe environment. You know, then even if it's a solo role play, okay, you need a DM with you so they can roll dice every once in a while and say, hey, you know what? You know, Billy Bob just popped out of the ground and, you know, chomped on your skull, you know. So, and then now you gotta smack him in the head. So, keep that in mind. If you're gonna do it in a dangerous place, have a DM with you. If your familiar answers your call, it's not going to kill you. But that does not mean the roleplay could stop there, because you know there still can be more to it. But it doesn't mean that other beings might appear. Okay, that's not your familiar. Let's say you're casting Find Familiar, and you're looking at something in the infernal plane. So you have a portal to the hells in front of you. Guess what? Other beings can pop out of there and smack you in the head. Okay? No, you don't have to have a DM present in a safe place, but it's much better because, well, as a priest, your companion is guaranteed on what one you get. But if you have a DM present, then there is potential expansions upon that, because you're automatically going to get another spider in your case. Okay? All right, but could it be abyssal? Yeah. Could it be infernal? Yeah. Okay. It's random number generated. And yes, talk to your guild lead before you do these things, so that they know they might even want to come hang out with you. Okay. But at least they know what you're doing. You know, and then when someone comes up to your guild lead and said, hey, do you know where Billy Bob went? He'd been missing for a week. You know, your guild lead can say, yeah, he got his head munched off. He jumped over the Feywilds and decided to summon an owlbear, and nah, it didn't work out. At least they know what to do, right? But if you don't tell them, they don't know. have that. Alright. There you go. Hey, perfect. Pack a lunch, you know, and have a picnic. Go over to Deep Roads and have a picnic. That's a great idea. Do you remember it does have monsters? So so you're might want to set up some perimeters and stuff. But hey, it could happen. And ask yourself, is it out of the question of possibility to have a Metallic-Eye rabbit? Do those exist? I don't know. If so, that's where they would be. One could be built. That would be, oh yeah, Metallic-Eye Dragon. Dude, that would be the bomb. Oh man, that would be so hard to fight. But artificers, you artificers out there, if you want to make a clockwork rabbit and somebody cast Find Familiar on it, hey, if it works, your little clockwork rabbit just became a familiar, and now he's intelligent and all that jazz, you know? But yeah, a dragon, dude, that is a lot of living steel. You better be rocking on that one. And yes, Ondine is my apprentice, so she's formidable, you know. So you're the apprentice to the magician, so you're not likely a lightweight. Okay, all right. Anyway. I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I know that Arguing was talking to me for a couple of minutes. I'm going to have to do that before I roll out, but I hope that everybody got some good knowledge today, and if you have any more questions, you're welcome. Now that I don't want to say I'm an active Discord user, but it pops up, and if I see the thing and I see questions, I answer them. Okay? And yes, if you're learning from her, then she learns from me. So that means that you're getting knowledge directly indirectly from me. Yes. All right. Beldos for your attendance. Findaus for now.